व्योमादिसैवा इति भासमानं यत् ब्रह्म तद्बोधवितारिणीभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्यां तामानि सैवा व्रजगारदाभ्यां विवेकवैराग्यनिधिप्रदाभ्यां बोधाप्रदाभ्यां धृतमोक्षदाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्याम् अनन्तसंसारसमुद्रतारा नौकायिकाभ्यां स्थिरभक्तिदाभ्यां जाड्यादिसंशोषणवादवाभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्याम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ अस्यास्य गुरुगीतास्तोत्रमन्त्रस्य भगवान् सदाशिवऋषिः नानाविधानि छन्दांसि श्रीगुरुपरमात्मा देवताम् हम बीजं सा शक्ति क्रम कीलकं श्रीगुरुप्रसाद सिद्ध्यते जपे विनियोगम् अथ ध्यानम् हंसाभ्यां परिवृत्तपत्रकमले देवे जगत्कारणे विश्वोत्कीर्णमनेकदेहनिलये सच्चन्द्रमद्विचयाम् तद्योतं पदसम्भवं तु चरणं दीपाङ्कुराग्राहिणां प्रत्यक्षासनविग्रहं गुरुपदं ध्यायेत् विभुं शाश्वतम् सुत उवाच कैलासशिखरे रम्ये भक्तिसन्धाननायकं प्रणम्य पार्वती भक्त्या शङ्करं परिषुच्यते श्रीदेवी उवाच ॐ नमो देवदेवेश परात्पर जगद्गुरु सदाशिवा महादेवा गुरुदीक्षां प्रदेमे येन मार्गेण गोस्वामी देहि ब्रह्मामयो भवेत् तं कृपां कुरु मे स्वामी नमामि चरणं तव। ईश्वर उवाच मम रूपासि देवे त्वं तत्प्रीत्यार्थं वदाम्यहं लोकोपकारका प्रश्नो न केनापि वृथा पुरा दुर्लभं तेषु लोकेषु तच्छृणुष्व वदाम्यहं गुरुं विना ब्रह्मणन्यत् सत्यं सत्यं वदामि वेदशास्त्रपुराणानि इतिहासादिकानि च मन्त्रयन्त्रादिविद्याश्च स्मृतिवृक्षादनादिकम् शैवशाक्तागमादीनि अन्यानि विविधानि च अपाव्यंसकराणि देवानां ग्रन्थचेतसाम् यज्ञोव्रतं तपोदानं जपस्तीर्थं तथैव च गुरुतत्त्वम् अभिज्ञाय मूढासे चरते जनाः गुरुबुद्ध्यात्मनो नान्यत् सत्यं सत्यं न संशयः कल्लावर्तं प्रयत्नस्तु कर्तव्यो हि मनीषिभिः भूतविद्या जगन्माया देहे च ज्ञानसम्भवा उदयो यत्प्रकाशेन अज्ञानमूलहरणं जन्मकर्मनिवारणं ज्ञानवैराग्यसिद्ध्यर्थं गुरुपादोदकं पिबेत् गुरुपादोदकं पीत्वा गुरुच्छिष्टभोजनं गुरुमूर्ते सदा ध्यानं गुरुमन्त्रं सदा जपेत् काशीक्षेत्र तन्निवासो जह्नवीचरणोदकं गुरुविश्वेश्वरा साक्षात् तारकं ब्रह्मनिश्चितं गुरुपादोदकं यतो गया सोक्षयोवतः तीर्थराजप्रयागश्च गुरुमूर्ते नमो नमः गुरुमूर्तिं स्मरे नित्यं गुरुनामा सदा जपेत् गुरुराज्ञां प्रकुर्वीता गुरुज्ञानं भावयेत् गुरुवक्त्रं प्रसादता गुरुज्ञानं सदा कुर्यात् कुलस्य सर्वदेयताम् सशमं च सजान्तिं च सकृते पुष्टिवर्धनम् एतत्सर्वं परित्याज्य भावेत् अनन्यश्चिन्तयन्तो मां सुलभं परमं पदम् तस्मात् सर्वं प्रयत्नेन गुरुराराधनं कुरु ते लोकेष्वतवक्तारो देवादसुरपन्नतान् गुरुभक्त्या चिता विद्या गुरुभक्त्या गम्यते गुकारस्तन्धकारश्च ऋकारस्ते च उच्यते अज्ञानाग्रासकं ब्रह्मा गुरुरेवाण संशया गुकारा प्रथमो वर्णो मायादिगुणभाषका गुकारो द्वितीयो ब्रह्मा मायाभ्रान्तिविनाशनम् एवं गुरुपदं श्रेष्ठं देवानामपि दुर्लभम् आहो गणश्चैव गन्धर्वैश्च प्रपूज्यते ध्रुवं तेषां च सर्वेषां नास्ति तत्त्वं गुरुपरम् आसनं शयनं वस्त्रं भूषणं वाहनादिकम् साधकेन प्रदातव्यं गुरुसन्तोषकारकं गुरुराराधनं कार्यं सजीवितं निवेदयेत् कर्मणा मनसा वाचा नित्यमाराधयेत् गुरुं दीर्घरत्नं नमस्कृत्य विलजो गुरुसन्निधौ शरीरम् इन्द्रियं प्राणं सद्गुरुभ्यो निवेदयेत् सद्गुरुभ्यो निवेदयेत् त्रिमीकीता भस्ममिष्ठा दुर्गन्धिमलमूत्रकां श्रेष्ठरक्तं दशं मांसं पञ्चयेन पुराणने संसारावेक्षमारूढाः पतन्तो नरकर्णवे येन चैवोदिता सर्वे तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो यदानन्देन नन्दन्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। यस्यास्ति सत्यमिदं यद्भाति भानुरूपतः प्रियं वज्रादि यत्प्रीत्या तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। येन चैतायते इदं चित्तं चेतायते लयं जागृत्स्वप्नसुषुप्त्यादि तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। यस्य ज्ञानादिदं विश्वं न दृश्यं भिन्नभेदता सदैकरूपरूपाय तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। यस्य मतं तस्य मतं मतं यस्य न भेदता अनन्यभावभावेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। यस्य कारणरूपस्य कार्यरूपेण भाति यान् कार्यकारणरूपाय तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नानारूपं कार्यकारणता चैव तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। यदङ्गैकमलानन्दं नन्दतापानिवारकं तारकं सर्वदा पद्भ्यः श्रीगुरुं प्रणमाम्यहम्। शिवे कृते गुरुस्त्राता गुरुकृते शिवो नये तस्मात् सर्वाभयत्नेन शिवे गुकारं च गुणातीतं गुकारं गुणवर्जितं गुणातीता स्वरूपं च योगसाधुस्मिताम्। अद्वितीता सर्वसाक्षी अचतुर्भाववर्जिता अचतुर्वादनो ब्रह्मा श्रीगुरुकरुणाब्धे। अयं मया जगदेवतो दया सागरविन्दये यदनुग्रहतो नन्दो चित्तस्वभावमूर्तिमान्। श्रीगुरुपरमं रूपं विवेकचक्षुषोमृतं मन्दमाज्ञान पश्यन्ति अन्धासूर्योदयं यथा। श्रीनाथाचरणानन्दं यस्यां दिशि विराजते तस्य दिशि नमः सूर्याय भक्त्या विरमते। तस्य दिशि सततं भजते समाजे प्रक्षिप्यते मुखरितो मधुपे बुधेश्च जागति यत् भगवान् गुरुचक्रवर्ती विश्वोदया प्रदेनाथ नित्यसाक्षी। श्रीनाथादिगुरुत्रयं गणपतिं पीठात्रयं भैरवां सिद्धोगं वदितं त्रयं पदयुगं स्तुतिगमं मण्डलम्। वीरान्द्या च चतुस्सहस्रशासिनवकं वीरावलि पञ्चकं श्रीमन्मालिनिमन्त्रराजसहितं वन्दे गुरुमण्डलम्। अभ्यसे सकले सुदे गमनिले व्याधिप्रदे दुष्करे प्राणायामशते अनेककरणे दुग्धागमे देजे। यस्मिन्नामुदिते विनाशति बले वायुः स्वयं तत्क्षणात् प्राप्तुं तत्करजं स्वभां मनीषं सेवतामेकं स्वदेशिकस्यैव शरीरचिन्तनं भवेत् अनन्तस्य शिवस्य चिन्तनं स्वदेशिकस्यैव च नामकीर्तनं भवेदनन्तस्य शिवस्य कीर्तनम्। यत्पादरेण कणिका कापि संसारवारिधे सेतुवन्द्यायते न तं देहिकं नामुपाश्रये यस्मादनुग्रहं लब्ध्वा महदज्ञानमुच्यते तस्मै श्रीदेशिकेन्द्राय नमस्तामि संसिद्धये पादं जं सैव संसारान् दावानला विनाशकं ब्रह्मरन्ते स्थितं भोजां मध्ये सुन्दरमण्डले अफतादिनिकेतव्ये सहस्रमण्डले हंसवासदिकोणि च सरितमधुरं गुरुम् सकलभुवनसृष्टि कल्पिता श्रेष्ठपुष्टिः निखिलानि ब्रह्मादृष्टिः सम्पदं व्यनदृष्टिः अवगुणावरिमर्षित् अवगुणावरामेष्टिः मोक्षमार्गे प्रदिष्टिः सकला भुवनारङ्गा स्थापनस्तम्भयस्ति सकरुणारसावृष्टिः तत्त्वमालासमस्ति सकला समयासृष्टिः सच्चिदानन्ददृष्टिः देवासतो मयि नित्यं श्रीगुरुदेवदृष्टिः अग्निशुद्धा समन्तातो ज्वालापरिचकादियान् अन्तराजं इमं मन्ये अनिलं पातिमित्थिताम् तदेजति तन्नेजति तद्दूरे तत्समीपके तदन्तरस्य सर्वस्य तदु सर्वस्य भायताम् अजोऽहमजरोऽहं च अनादिनिधनस्वयम् अविकारचिदानन्दानियामसुमाम् अपूर्वं परं नित्यं स्वयं ज्योतिनिरामयम् नीराजं परमाकाशं ध्रुवमनन्तमव्ययम् श्रुतिवत्तक्षमेतीयम् अनुमानचतुष्टयम् यस्य चात्मतपो वेदा देशिकं च शास्त्रेत् मननं यद्भवं कार्यं तद्वदामि महामते साधुतं च मया दृष्टं दयितानि सन्ततम् अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरम् मत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः सर्वश्रुतिशिरोरत्ना विराजितावताम्बुजान् वेदन्तं भुजसूर्यो यः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः यस्य स्मरणमात्रेण ज्ञानमुत्पादते स्वयं य एव सर्वसम्प्राप्तिः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः चैतन्यं शाश्वतं शान्तं व्योमातीतं निरञ्जनं नारबिन्दुकलातीतं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः स्थावरं जङ्गमं चैव तथा चैवाचराचरं व्याप्तमेन जगत्सर्वं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः ज्ञानशक्तिसमारूढस्तत्त्वमाला विभूषिता भक्तिमुक्तिप्रदाताय तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः अनेकजन्मसम्प्राप्ता सर्वकर्मविदायिने सात्मज्ञानं प्रभावेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः न गुरोरधिकं तत्त्वं न गुरोरधिकं तपः तत्त्वं सर्वं नास्ति सप्तसागरपर्यन्ता तीर्थस्नानादिकं फलम् गुरुरङ्गभयोबिन्दु सहजं दुर्लभम् गुरुस्ते गुरुस्ताता गुरुस्तेन कश्चन तस्मात् सर्वप्रयत्नेन श्रीगुरुं शरणं भजे गुरुरेव जगत्सर्वं ब्रह्म विष्णु शिवात्मकं गुरुपराधरं नास्ति ज्ञानविज्ञानसहितं लभ्यते गुरुभक्तिता गुरुपराधरं नास्ति देयतो गुरुमार्गे यस्मात्पराधरं नास्ति नेति नैतीति वैश्यति मनसा वचसा चैव नित्यमाराधयेत् गुरुकृपा प्रसादेन ब्रह्म विष्णु सदाशिवा समर्था च केवलं गुरुसेवया देवकिन्नरगन्धर्व पितरो यक्षचारणा मुनयो न जानन्ति माहङ्कारगर्वेण तपोविद्यावलान्विता संसारगुणरावर्ते घटायन्ते भावगा न मुक्तादेव गन्धर्वा पितरो यक्षकिन्नरा वृषया सर्वसिद्धश्च गुरुसेवामन्विता ध्यानं शृणु महादेवी सर्वानन्दाप्रदायकं सर्वसौख्यकरं नित्यं भुक्तिमुक्तिविधायकम् श्रीमत्परब्रह्म गुरुं स्मरामि श्रीमत्परब्रह्म गुरुं वदामि श्रीमत्परब्रह्म गुरुं नमामि श्रीमत्परब्रह्म गुरुं भजामि ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं जगत्सदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वदि साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं द्विगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि नित्यं शुद्धं निराभासं निराकारं निरञ्जनं नित्यबोधं चिदानन्दं गुरुं ब्रह्मा नमाम्यहम् हृदम्बुजे कर्णिकमध्यसंस्थे सिंहासने संस्थितदिव्यमूर्तिं ध्यायेत् गुरुं चन्द्रकलाप्रकाशं चित्पुस्तकाविषमलं ददानम् श्वेताम्बरं श्वेतविलेपपुष्पं मुक्ताभिभूषं मुदितं द्विनेत्रं वामाङ्गमितचितदिव्यशक्तिं मण्डास्मितं शान्तविभानिदानम् आनन्दमानन्दकरं प्रसन्नं ज्ञानस्वरूपं निजबोधयुक्तं योगेन्द्रं नित्यं भवरोगवैद्यं श्रीमद्गुरुनित्यमहं नमामि यस्मिन् स्थिते स्थितं सा निग्रहानुग्रहात्मकं नित्यं पञ्चविधं शाश्वतवासते तं नमाम्यहम् प्रातः शिराशिशुक्ताब्जे द्विनेत्रं द्विभुजं गुरुं पारम्यायुतं शान्तं शरीरं न गुरोरधिकं न गुरोरधिकं न गुरोरधिकं न गुरोरधिकं शिवशासनता 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 इदमेव शिवं द्विदमेव शिवं Chudameva Shivam, Chudameva Shivam. Mama Shasanato, Mama Shasanato, Mama Shasanato, Mama Shasanatam. Evam Vidam Guram Dhyatva, Jnanam Utpadate Swayam. Tatsat Guru Prasadena, Mukhamami Vibhavaye. Guru Darshit Namagena, Mana Shuddhim Tu Karaye. Anityam Kandaye Sarvam, Yat Kinchitama Gocharam. Yeyam Sarva Sarupam Cha, Jnanam Cha Mana Uchyate. Jnanayena Brahmam Puryam, Nadyavanta Vidiyakam. Evam Shudva Mahadevi, Guru Nindam Karotiya. Sayati Narakam Ghoram, Yavachandya Divagaro. Yavat Kalpantako Dehas, Tavadeva Gurum Smare. Gurado Purna Kartavya, Swachando Yadivabhave. Omkarena Navaktavyam, Prajne Shishe Kathanjana. Gurunam Gurum tam kritya hum kritya, Gurum nijita vadata. Arani nijade deshe, Savai brahma rakshasa. Muni bimam nigenapi, Sudeva shapito yadi. Kalamrityu bhayatvapi, Guru rakshati parvati. Ashakta hi suradhyascha, Ashakta munayastata. Guru sapena te shigram, Shayam yanti na samshaya. Mantarajam idam devi, Guru rikta saradvayam. Siddhi vedanta vakyena, Guru sakshat param padam. Siddhi smiti avijnaya, Kevalam Guru Sevaka. Taivai Sanyasina Prokta, Gita Devi Sadarina. Nityam Brahma Nirakaram, Nirgunam Bodhaye Param. Saivam Brahma Padamabhasam. Guru Kripa Prasadena, Atmaramam Nirikshayet. Anena Guru Margena, Sattva-jnanam Pradhartate. Abrahmastambha Paryantam, Paramatma Sarupakam. Stavaram Jangamam Chaiva, Pranamami Gurunayam. Vandeham Satchidanandam, Vedaditam Sada Gurum. Nityam Purnam Nirakaram, Nirgunam Satmasamsitam. Nityam Anandakarakam, Hridayakasamadhyastam. Shuddha-sarivasambhvam. Spatika-karmarupam, Vrishate Darpaneyatam. Radhamani Nirakaram, Anandam Sohamidhitam. Angushtamata Purusham, Jayata Chinmayam Hridim. Satya रूपातीतं च रूपं किम् एतदज्ञातिशङ्करम् श्रीमहादेव उवाच पिण्डं मुण्डादिने शक्ति पदं हंसामुदारतं रूपम् इन्दुरितीयं रूपातीतं निरञ्जनम् पिण्डे मुक्ता पदे मुक्ता रूपे मुक्ता वरानने रूपातीते दिव्ये मुक्ता ते मुक्ता नास्ति संशया स्वयं सर्वामयो भूत्वा परं तत्त्वं विलोकये परात् परं तदं नान्यः सर्वमेतद्विदाम् सर्वसंभाविवर्जितान् एकाकिनी सुरानन्दान् श्रीसुरसेवानुसारदान् रात्रं वा नानलं वा स्वल्पं वा बहुलं तथा निष्कामेनैव भोक्तव्यं सदा सन्तुष्टचेतसा सर्वज्ञापदमित्याहुः देहि सर्वामयो बुधा सदानन्दा सदा सन्तो नमते अद्भुतजे यत्रैवातिष्ठते सोऽपि सदेशा पुण्यभाजनम् मुक्तस्य लक्षणं देवी तवाग्रेकथितं मयम् उपादेशास्तथा देवी गुणमार्गेण मुक्तिदा गुरुभक्ति सदा ज्ञानं अनेन यद्भवेत् कार्यं तद्वदामि महामते लोकोपकारकं देवी लोकितं सुभावे लौकिकधर्मनो यन्ति ज्ञानहीनामवर्णवान् ज्ञानी तु भावयेत् सर्वं कर्मनिष्कामयत्नम् इदं सुभक्तिभावेन पठते शुनके यदि लिखित्वा तत्प्रदातव्यं सर्वं सफलं भवेत् गुरुगीतात्मकं देवी शुद्धतत्त्वमयोनितं भाव्यादिविनाशनं श्रीमद्वेदसा गुरुगीताक्षरेकं तु मन्त्रराजमिमं जपेत् अन्ये च विविधा मन्त्राः कलं नयन्ति सोऽनिशम् अनन्तफलमाप्नोति गुरुगीताजपेन तु सर्वपापविनाशनं सर्वदारिद्र्यनाशनम् कालमृत्युभयहरं सर्वसम्प्रान्तनाशनं रक्ष रक्ष सर्वभूतानां चोरव्याघ्रभयापहम् महाव्याधिहरं सर्वं विभूतिसिद्धिदं भवेत् सर्वेषां सम्बलकरं गुणानां च विवर्धनं दुष्कर्मनाशनं चैव सुकर्मसिद्धिं भवेत् असिद्धं साधयेत् कार्यं न वा भावयामः दुष्कर्मनाशनं चैव सुकर्मफलदायकम् सर्वशान्तिकरं नित्यं तथा वन्द्यात् आयुरागोरमैश्वर्या बुद्धबौद्धव्यवैधनम् अकामता त्रिविधवा प्रमाणोक्षामवाप्नुयात् अवेदायं सकामतो लभते कञ्चनमणि सर्वदुर्गाभयं विघ्नं नाशयेच्चामहारतम् सर्वबाधाविनाशनं धर्मतत्त्वमोक्षदं यं यं चिन्तयते कामं तं तं प्राप्नोति निश्चितम् कामितश्च कामधेनो कल्पना कल्पपादपा चिन्तामणिश्चिन्तितस्य सर्वमङ्गलकारकम् मोक्षहेतुर्जपे नित्यं मोक्षश्रियमवाप्नुयात् भोगकामो जपे यो मे तस्य कामफलप्रदम् जपे जगदसौरश्च गणपत्यश्च वैष्णवा सैव शास्त्रिदं देवी सत्यं सत्यं न संशयः अथ काम्या जपे स्नानं कथयामि वरानने सागरेवाचलीतीरे तवाहरिहरालये शक्तिदेवालये दोषे सर्वदेवालयेषु वन्दे प्रदात्मिनोरेवा मठे वृन्दावने तथा पवित्रे निर्मले स्थाने नित्यानुष्ठानतोऽपि वा निर्वेदनेन मोहेन जपामृतं समाचरेत् श्मशाने वायवो भवतु वनमुन्नतिके तथा सिद्ध्यन्ते दान्तरे मूले शुद्धवृक्षानुवर्तिनो दुर्लभवरमुखास् तस्य सिद्ध्यन्ति नान्यथा शुभकर्माणि सर्वाणि भिक्षावतारकाङ्क्षिता संसारमादनाचरितं भवभाषानिवृत्तये गुरुगीतानुशिक्षाणं तत्त्वज्ञानं कुरुते सदा स एव च गुरुसाक्षात् सदा सद्ब्रह्मविद्युः तस्य स्थानानि सर्वाणि पवित्राणि सर्वशुद्धा पवित्रोऽसौ स्वभावाद्यत्र तिष्ठति तत्तदेव गुणः सर्वे एते विद्ये वसन्ति आसनस्था शयानो वा गच्छन्ति सर्वदन्नपि अश्वारूढो गजारूढः शुद्धो वा जारूढोऽपि वा सचेष्मं सात् सदा ज्ञानी गुरुगीता जपेरतु तस्य दर्शनमात्रेण पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते समुद्रे च यथा तोयं क्षीरे क्षीरं घृते घृतं बिम्बे बिम्बे यथाकाशः तथा ज्ञानात्मनि तदेव ज्ञानिनीवात्मा परमात्मा निधीयते ऐकेन रमते ज्ञानी शरीरम् इन्द्रियं प्राणं चर्ता सचल बान्धवा माता पिता सुतं देवी गुरुदेवान् संशया आतता जन्मनात् कोट्या जपा व्रता तपा क्रिया तत्सर्वं समदं देवी गुरु संगमाश्रिता विद्या तमो बलेनैव अन्धभाग्यस्य ये नराः गुरुसेवां न कुर्वन्ति सततं सत्यं वदामि ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेशश्च देवर्षिवृन्दकीर्तनाम् Dujana Sajjana Bhuya Sajjana Shanti Mapya Shantu Cheta Bandevyo Bhakta Janyami Muje Sati Prajavyam Paripalayantam Nyayena Mayena Mahisham Yogram Ganebhyam Subhamasudhyam Lokam Samastam Sino Bhavantu Kale Vaishnavanaya Prithvi Sashadhani Deshoyam Sohanaito Brahmana Santu Devayam Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Bhavantu Ma Kashitu Tavavati Sarva Sarvabhutanani Sarvabhutani Vashyantu Sarvakamanavantu Sarva Sarvantanandatu Sasi Mata Uta Videna Vastu Swasti Guryo Jagate Udushitya Vishwamurna Suvidana Prasuyam Om Shanti Shanti Arati Karu Sadguru Vikaru Sadguru Vikaru Arati Arati Jaya Gurudeva Malavinaji Jaya
Sadgurnad, Maharaj Ki Jai. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sunday morning Satsang here at Walden, and for all of you who are joining us live stream. We gather each Sunday here to practice and to uplift ourselves and to uplift our minds. And I was thinking about it, as most of you know, here right now in the US, we have a new administration coming in on Wednesday, so there's a lot of news, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of discussion around what that is going to bring. But what I always prefer to do is to do what we've been taught by Baba, by Bhagawan, by Gurudev, our great teachers, our great gurus. And that is, let us not focus so much on the externals, but let us turn the focus within and let us become aware of our own minds, that which we do have control over, and that we can decide what it is that we want to store in our minds, that which we want to save, and that which we want to become free of. So we have a great, great text that Gurudev chose for the subjects for our Sunday satsangs for this year, 2021, the Sri Guru Gita. And last week, Dana set the stage for that beautifully, laying a beautiful foundation, the bhav, the tone, and really with full heart and with full attention initiated that topic for us. And as I was contemplating it through the week, I was thinking, everything is contained in this one book. And we have the opportunity this year to really go into a deeper discovery of it and to not just chant it and intone it, which is always the greatest of all because that's what we feel and that's what brings that devotion forward. That's what brings that illumination, the knowledge. That's what connects us to that which is universal and eternal. But because of the way this study book has been created, we really have the opportunity to be able to go into it with the Sanskrit, with the pronunciation, with each meaning, with the meaning of each verse, broken down word by word. And it's so potent, and there's so much in here. You can study one verse for a long, long time, and going over each of the words. And I find that the more that we allow ourselves to surrender to that conversation, the song of the guru, guru-disciple, student-teacher, what it gifts us is truly everything that Baba talks about, the knowledge of the self, the experience of the self, how to remain established in that state. Study, study, study. And if we do that, there's just nothing more sublime. So today we're going to continue with that study, and today we're going to receive an offering from Nityeshwari. And the beauty of it is that each person who will speak on it, as Gurudev mentioned, it's like the blind man and the elephant. So everyone who touches a different part of the elephant describes it in one way, but it's all the same elephant. So here we are studying the Guru Gita, and for all of us, we all have our own experiences, our own perspectives, our own perceptions, our own notions of what that guru-disciple relationship is and what the Guru Gita is. So we get to learn from so many different people, so many different aspects of it. And I think each one of us, there's something that we can learn from each offering. So today we're going to hear from Nityeshwari. And again, the Gurudev's idea was love of the Guru. So love of the Guru. So that is what we'll do now. And then we will continue with Danya Danya and Joda Se Joda and a few announcements. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for joining us. So now with all of you, with your copies, wherever you are, Shri Guru Gita.
Are full of meaning too. I mean, there is something about the Sanskrit language that sometimes when people begin to chant, and usually it is the Guru Gita, and I remember my own case in the year 1982, 83, it makes you cry and you don't know why. And the thing is that it resonates with the petals inside, or the several lotuses that are in the heart, in the other power centers, in the chakras. And it awakens something that's been sleeping probably for lifetimes. So I still remember my first encounter with the Guru Gita. And when I was looking for material for this talk, I found my notes from when we were doing it with the Spanish study group in 2015. Very interesting. So I would like to start, actually I started already, but in any case, instead of the introductory mantras, I'm going to read a poem written by John Godfrey Saxe, which is called The Six Blind Men and the Elephant. So it says, it was 6 men of Indostan, to learning much inclined, like we are, who went to see the elephant, though all of them were blind, that each by observation might satisfy his mind. The first approached the elephant, and happening to fall, against his broad and sturdy side, at once began to bawl. God bless me, but the elephant is very like a wall. The second, feeling the tusk, cried, Ho! What have we here? So very round and smooth and sharp. To me, 'tis mighty clear, this wonder of an elephant is very like a spear. The third approached the animal, and happening to take the squirming trunk within his hands, thus boldly up and spake. I see, quoth he, the elephant is very like a snake. The fourth one reached out an eager hand and felt about the knee. What most this wondrous beast is like, it might plain, quoth he. 'Tis clear enough, the elephant is very like a tree. The fifth one chanced to touch the ear, said, and the blinded man can tell what it resembles most. Deny the fact who can, this marvel of an elephant is very like a fan. The sixth no sooner had begun about the beast to grope, then seizing on the swirling tail that fell within his scope, I see, quoth he, the elephant is very like a rope. And so these men of Hindustan disputed loud and long, each in his own opinion, exceeding stiff and strong, though each was partly in the right and all were in the wrong. So a good idea to study the Guru Gita so that we are not in the wrong. And this poem was written in 1816 or 1887, something. That's why the English is a little funny. Very, very good poem. And this is going to be our inspiration for today. So there is a magnetic power in the Guru Gita. It's full of esoteric meanings. And these meanings are revealed to us sometimes by chanting it, sometimes by studying it, and sometimes just by listening to it. Because it has this power. It is inherent in the chant. And something that I like very much, personally, is called a paradox, which means ideas that appear to be contradictory, but in reality are complementary. It's something that has always attracted me when philosophers and very smart people have these phrases, and I like to find them and understand what they meant by that. So it says, for example, the Guru is the self, but it is I. So it is that self is Atman, but it's also I. At the same time, is it two different things? It's not two different things, it's two things at the same time. There is something that we have been studying in the study group, and this is something that supports the idea that one thought had to be right and the opposite has to be wrong, and not two can be right at the same time, because it is a limitation. So we studied that when Shiva was creating the universes or the creation, then the elements, or let's say the tools that were used according to these scriptures is called tattvas. And the tattvas are the characteristics of stuff that make what is just consciousness like an ocean without waves. And when we see those waves, you begin to say one wave, two waves, three waves. But when we change our sight, when we change our viewpoint, then it's just a whole body of water. But still there are waves. So the mind in that very style of thinking begins to open up, like a pie, for example. You know, you take it out of the mold when you're cooking, and then you separate the hard part from the soft one. But it is still everything a pie. So it says the Guru is the self and it is I. And the second one, that is one we have heard from, I think, the very first intensive each one of us took, whenever that happened. The Guru is not a physical form. He or she functions through a physical form, but is, as it says in the Shiva Sutra Vimarsini, the grace-bestowing power of God. So it is not a physical form, but we have the temple full of pictures of the form, and we bow to a form, And we like to communicate with the form, and we receive the education and the love and the corrections from the form. So what is this? It is a paradox. So yes, he is Mr. Swami Paramahamsa Nityananda Parivrajak 100,008, and whatever other names he has, is a physical person and is the guru. And the power that flows through him and to many other gurus is also the guru. So this is, to me, fascinating. And the idea that we have here is to learn different facets of what the guru is for each person. Also, as a person, we could say like the spiritual aspect, but spiritual is also a limitation, because when we study this aspect of creation, what happened is that these statuas, I can compare, I've been thinking a lot about this. Like when a baby is born, no? The baby is growing in the uterus, and there comes a time when his little feet, his little hands, and everything else is being formed inside. And then at the appropriate moment, like 9 months afterwards, it comes out, and he begins to discover him or herself. So the limitation, the first one is of who I am. First, the very first days, the baby doesn't know that he's separated from everything. But then it begins to feel, this is one and that different. Different is sometimes can be understood as a threat. And then the needs, no? It feels hungry. Where is the food? And then the mother comes, and instead of saying, okay, the food is what satisfies me, he relates to the mother, and that creates an attachment. It's complex, but at the same time very simple. And then the time. I've been told, and I've seen it with little babies, when the mother leaves and they're like less than 6 months old, there's not a big problem, because they have zero idea of the time. So if she leaves for 1 hour or for 5 minutes, they don't really know. Okay, this is the tattva, there is Karkala time, that we all learn, and because we are performing the same 5 functions as Shiva. So when Shiva performs these actions, not only the 5 that we know very well, that I mentioned later, but also the elements or the tools that are used for this. So then, when the child is like a year and a half, for example, and the mother leaves for 5 minutes just to turn on the light, the child is terrified. I've seen it. Why? Because he doesn't know, it's a little time, it's a short time, it's a long time. Did she disappear forever, or did she just went for a second? So in creation, we also use time, but the time is not real. It's just an invention. Because if we come out of the planet Earth, then there's no time. The time is measured by our minds. So all of that, very interesting. So we want to see what the guru is and what are his different facets. In the Guru Gita, there is a poem, there is one of the shlokas, that is number 7. And number 7 is very interesting for me because it says, the means are not the guru. What we are studying, we must always remember that it's just studying. That the direct experience is what counts, and not to learn so much, yet at the same time, here's another paradox, we have to study. We have to know what we need to know, that it's not the self. Because otherwise, how would we separate it? And how would we make our mind keen, sharp, as it is recommended in the scriptures? So the number 7, the chant number 7 says, the Vedas, so which are the highest educational tools that are in the Indian scriptures, Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharva scriptures, Puranas, epics, Ramayana, Mahabharata, mantras, yantras, knowledge, texts, practices to distract one's enemies, and so on, as well as Shaivite and Shakta treatises, which we have those books too, and various other scriptures written in ungrammatical language. All of these only for people with confused minds here in this world. So what it means what? That if the mind is confused and doesn't really know who I am, then the more I study these things, more confused will it become. because it's just information superimposed on ignorance. So they tell us at all times, remember all the time to look into yourself. And at the end of this talk, I'm going to be keeping an eye on time, to do an exercise that is in the Vijnana Bhairava, so that we can dissolve the mind and see what it is like. So one thing is the Guru, according to the Guru Gita, something else that is different but is like us. And this is what I've been absorbing, I could say, from 1 year studying first, where are you going? And then the incredible, wonderful secret of the Siddhas, where Baba Muktananda explains Kashmir Shaivism from his viewpoint. I mean, I think it's the most wonderful book that I've read. I didn't know, it took me long. So in verse 62 of the Guru Gita, which comes from the Isha Upanishads, it says this, it says, the Guru principle moves and does not move. It is far and it is near. It exists within everything and it exists outside everything. How can we apply this to our own life? So we move and do not move. Sometimes movement is just like walking on a stationary bicycle, a lot of action not leading anywhere. Or sometimes the appearances of not moving, of being still, like Bhagavan, and at the same time moving probably the whole universe. No? And it is far, it feels far. Every time we speak about these topics with somebody that's interesting, it's so far, many lifetimes. I'm such a sinner. These people are very high, but no, I'm nothing. So you are like feeding your own mystery, and you are like cutting or putting a barrier towards what we want to do. So it says here, it exists within everything and it exists outside everything. But there's no outside or there's no inside, because the self is one. And we are the self that have taken this characteristic of being limited just for the play, just for the fun of Shiva. It is said in the scriptures, and so many times we see it too. Because we see a situation, a certain situation. For example, a friend was telling me, I wake up and every day my mother used to bring me my orange juice and my coffee. But one day she got sick and I miss it so much. I cry every day. Swear, my friend told me this. So what happens is, as a human, one has to be that flexible to see the creation of my mind, which is a limitation of space, of time, of texture, of locomotion. Everything we do is a limitation of the powers of Shiva. So when it says here, it is within everything and it exists outside everything, we have to see that self is me. It's not inside me because there's no inside outside, and it's not outside because there's no space. The space is a creation, Kala, of the process of creation. But as we study these things, what is happening probably to me is I see it in my own creation, because the creation we do is through mind, is through thoughts. So I have a thought, and the thought is created there, no? And it is sustained for a short or long period of time, but I decide. If I wanted to last for a long time, I feed it. And what do thoughts feed on? On emotion. It's something I like, I feed it. Oh, I'm going to remember all that happened in 82. Or if I hate it, if I don't like it, then also I feed it. How could this happen? How could they do this to me? But there has to be a two-step stool, I could say, that I can sit on or stand on and see that everything is a creation, and I am the owner. I am the seer. I am the one who can stop it at any time and dilute it, like Shiva. So the powers, no? Creation, sustenance, and dissolution. So when I read these things, I find them very, it's like a manual, and it's very great. Then there is another one that talks about what the Guru is from another viewpoint, from the powers and the gods that exist. It's from the Vishvasara Tantra, and I found out that in case at the end of the Guru Gita, people who like to read everything, at the end it says, Iti Skanda Purane Tarakande Ishvara Parvati Sambade, no? Which means this is a dialogue between Parvati and Shiva. They are talking. And it is found at the end of the Purana, at the end of the central part of this scripture. But it's not there. I looked it up, and I know many people have looked it up and they don't find it, so it's not there. But there are many, many of the verses, in case you're interested, which I hope you are, is Vishvasara Tantra. For example, the Guru is Brahma, the Guru is Vishnu, the Guru Deva is Maheshwara or Shiva. The Guru is verily Parabrahman, salutations to that Guru. So when it explains this, the way I take it to mean is like the powers of these gods, because the gods also don't exist. The gods also exist in a loka, in a place that is created by some types of mind. But when it boils down to the essence, Baba is always inviting us to just meditate on yourself, period. And I think, and I believe in all this year of studying, that this is what I personally want to do. I don't want to be distracted, the gods, the goddesses, the pujas, the this, that. But the way to do it is Shiva is playing at attending a puja. Shiva is playing at being a disciple. He is playing at being a guru. They are interpreting different roles, but at the end, the roles disappear. Like when you go to a theater play, no? And you see everybody wearing costumes. Like right now we are wearing costumes. For sometimes I have stopped using Indian costumes just to see what I feel like always wearing Western, just to break something there. So we are now playing like I'm speaking and you are listening. Thinking of what? I have no way of knowing. I hope you find it interesting. So we go to the theater, and at the end there's these rooms where the actors and actresses meet with the audience, with some people, and they talk with them and everything while they're changing. They are being, they are taking off all these costumes. And then they become themselves if they have that strong mind. But there have been cases that I've heard about when they take the role with them and they sometimes lose their minds. And it's funny because in Mexico, in many of those countries, there's soap operas, and there's always a very, very bad woman. It's always a woman. And there's some victim, which is always a woman, and there's some men there, no? And then I have heard cases of this woman who interprets the villain or the worst woman who is attacking the supermarket by people because they think that that woman is the one they saw on television. So we cannot keep doing this. Many times during the day, I ask myself, what am I seeing? Am I seeing the television or am I seeing the person? And when I'm seeing the person, am I seeing the true person or am I just a projection of myself? Because this book, as they say, a little knowledge in the hands of the fools is very dangerous. And it's now in my hands, and I hope it's not in the hands of the fool. Then, so he says the Guru is Brahman, no? So Brahman is, for Vedanta, the creator, the one who creates everything. And then it sustains it. The Guru is Vishnu, is Guru Deva, or Maheshwara, which is Shiva. And verily is Parabrahman, so is the only reality that exists, the highest reality. Salutations to that Guru. There's some phrases in history that are interesting that I found. For example, Napoleon, the emperor and general, they said that when he was going into the battle, he would tell his assistant there, dress me slowly because we are in a hurry. Which means, it's, like when we women used to use stockings, and you do it very slowly because if something happens to it, then it takes more time to fix the mistake, no? To change the clothes or whatever. So it would say, dress me slowly because we are in a hurry, meaning we do it well, and then we go into the battle. And actually, it must have sounded like, je suis pressé, habillez-moi lentement. I think that's the way he said it. Then, the other story that I think very interesting, because the Guru, as a person, my experience is that he or she encourages us to get rid of everything that is extra, that we don't need, in the way of information, opinions, things, needs, wishes, all of that, by the teachings. No? So there's a story of Michelangelo Buonarroti, who was the famous Italian sculptor. And there was this piece of stone, there's marble in Carrara in Italy. And this piece of marble was rejected by many sculptors because it was low quality. And several of them tried to do something, and nobody liked it. So it was there for 25 years. And Michelangelo kept looking at that piece of marble, big rock, for 25 years. You can imagine all the things he was thinking. And then one day they told him, okay, we need a statue of David, who is the teenager who killed the, I was going to say mythology, I don't know, the Bible. There's a giant that was attacking David's tribe, and then he killed it using a slingshot, because he was little and the giant was big, and they could not fight directly. But he used that weapon that you put a stone here and then he killed them by hitting on the third eye. So it is the most famous statue, I think, in the world, that he finished it. And then when they asked him, how did you do it? What he said was, he was already there. David, I saw him, he was there. I just had to remove what was extra, everything that was not him. And then I think that's what happens with the Guru when he takes us at the level that we are on. He sees all the probabilities, all the potentialities that we have, and he encourages us. You can, come on, you can. In several ways, because just like a child, he not be always giving the same medicine to every patient. No? Sometimes sweet, sometimes stern, sometimes whatever is necessary, just to break all the mental barriers that we create for ourselves. So I think that is what Gurudev does, because I didn't have the pleasure of meeting Baba in person. But you hear the stories, and it's always to allow us to expand. Then this same sculptor, Michelangelo, he also, the popes of that time, Julius II, the pope, he was a pope and an emperor at the same time, and he asked him to make a tomb, and the tomb was like a house that big of marble, full of statues. But that never happened because they lost all their money in a war, Italy, in those days. But there was another stone, no? That's a different story. And then you can look it up on Google, because I wanted to put it in my talk, but if it's on a video, and all of those pictures, they have registered trademark or rights, the photographer has the rights to it, and I don't want him to block my talk on YouTube. And if this sounds familiar, some people on what shouldn't be kept for your own rights, yeah, they keep it, and the money, I'm sure, doesn't go to Michelangelo's family. So anyway, so there's no picture, but you can look it up. It's Moses with the tables of the law here. And then it is said that when he finished making that statue, he went and with a hammer, he did it softly like this, and he says, now speak. Because he was so alive. Because Moses is sitting down, which is not the most powerful posture for somebody like that who's just going to tell them what to do to all the Jewish tribes. But he is, you see it when you can. So he's like looking this way, but the leg is in a position that he's going to get up. And the expression on his face is incredible. It's like angry, forgiving, father, teacher, no? Like he discovered the others were worshipping gold idols, and he wants, but he can't. He has what he downloaded from the cloud into his tablet, right? The 10 Commandments. So then, that fantastic sculpture, what happened is that he said not speak. And when you see that sculpture, it's just wonderful. And then again, he said, yeah, Moses was sitting there, exactly like that. I saw him. Not in a dream, he saw him in the stone. So for us, I mean, what I take from this is you can always see things where you don't see them at first sight. Now, the Guru Gita also has something that is like magic, enchanting, but enchanting in a way like it's like a witchcraft kind of thing because it's Tantra. So there is one that I like, 129, where Parvati asks Shiva, how can one become enlightened in the 3 areas of the body? No? So I brought it here, and it's the one. I see that if I type things or write them with my hand, then I memorize them better. So Esoteric here explains what the Guru is in verse 118, and this is 19. It says, by meditating on the Guru in this way, an individual becomes one with God, without doubt. He is liberated in the states of Pinda, Pada, and Rupa. And of course, Parvati goes here and says, what do you mean? So she says, oh, Shiva. It's 120, yeah. What is Pinda? What does Pada refer to? Oh, Shiva, what is Rupa? And again, what is beyond Rupa? Please explain this. So in these verses, the terms Pinda, Pada, and Rupa are used in their esoteric sense to describe a series of progressively more subtle realizations. So supposedly they happen in the body, no? Pinda, because I look it up in the dictionary, and what it says is something that is like a piece of meat, something that is solid, that sits in this part of the body inside, and it is called Pinda. So I think this is where the Kundalini awakens. And then Pada, it says here, when one experiences the spontaneous repetition of the Hansa mantra. So it is experienced here, according to what Baba always taught everybody, 12 fingers distance within and without. So what this means, because so many people say, what is this 12 fingers? So I went and did my research. So when the inhalation comes in the body, and then it comes and it stops here, from the nose it is 10, 12 in this area. And what we would call inside, but it's not inside or outside. It's just a movement that we perceive with the inhalation, with the air. And then it stands there for a moment, is So the sound, And then when we exhale, then it comes and starts 12 fingers, like around here, and it merges with the air. So we can do that Hansa mantra because it's our own name, our own repetition. And they say that is 21,600 times that God repeats his name, her name, to us. He repeats it and we listen. He repeats it and we listen. And then we hear it. So we go from a dense level in which we repeat first with the mouth hum, sa, and then we stop repeating it vocally, and then it's repeated in the throat, and then it's repeated in the mind, and then it's not repeated anymore. We just hear it like like that. So this is what happens with the second, which is Pada, and the third involves the vision of the blue pearl, considered to be the form or body of the inner self. So the third one is when people see the blue pearl, that also inside the blue pearl it is said that is a small being that is the size of half the thumb. Did you read that somewhere? And then it lives here, it lives in the center of the heart, and it reveals all knowledge. So all this is Tantra, it's very interesting. And it has a subtle form, so when it disappears, the little one, the Purusha, then it stays there in the subtle form, and we know we are pure consciousness. These realizations, by the way, do not always happen sequentially. So one may happen before the other. This is what they talk about this. And then there's another one that talks about directions, positions, colors of the asana. And I'm touching now on the esoteric aspects of the Guru Gita, because there's all types. So on the Guru Gita, it's on page 129, if you have your books. And then Gurudev is going to give an explanation on this on page 69 of Conversations with Gurudev. So as I said, it's a 129. Okay. It says, "O highly intelligent one, I will now tell you about what can be accomplished by this recitation of the Guru Gita. O Goddess, this text is for the benefit of humanity, but you should not consider using it for worldly purposes, so just for higher purposes." And I don't know how many of us, and everywhere, whoever is watching this video, has refrained from falling into the temptation of buying the asanas of these different colors, as recommended in the Guru Gita, and try if this works. So it says, 130. Ignorant people who perform their actions for worldly purposes fall into the ocean of worldly existence. Here it reveals the power of the mind. You think of worldliness, you go into worldliness. You think spiritual, you go into spiritual, because the mind is the self in a contracted form. But the wise consider all the actions to be performed without regard for the outcome. So no attachment to the fruit, as it is in the Bhagavad Gita. Then it says, if you read and listen to the Guru Gita with devotion, then you can have it in writing. So I put it in writing for you, I assure you. And I put my signature on it, almost he's saying, that is, have full assurance that all your actions will be successful. So with devotion, no, with dedication. The word devotion is also, it means the feeling of devotion, but devoka is also a calling. So when we hear something or we follow that calling, that is also called devotion. So now it's 132, and it says, "O Goddess, I have told you about the pure principle in the form of the Guru Gita. Indeed, to destroy the disease of worldliness, always keep repeating it on your own." So he says that to chant on her own, but also in a group, no? Each letter of the Guru Gita is the noblest of mantras. Keep repeating it. Other various mantras are not worth even a 16th part of it. As a result of repeating the Guru Gita, you will attain infinite fruits. So here's another paradox again. It's telling you, don't think of the fruits, but it's saying if you sing it properly, you will attain all the fruits. It destroys all sins and removes all kinds of poverty. So then it says, recitation of the Guru Gita removes fear at the time of death, destroys all kinds of dangers, and removes the fear of nature, spirits, demons, ghosts, thieves, and tigers. Recitation of the Guru Gita eradicates all kinds of major diseases. It also can bestow fulfillment and supernatural powers, and can be used to attract or enchant others. Always keep repeating it on your own. So this is to remember when you're navigating 130, 132, 33, like that. No? Now, there come the instructions. Recitation of the Guru Gita for the purpose of worldly gain, which we were just told not to do this, okay? On a zero cloth brings poverty. On a stone gives rise to disease. On the earth brings suffering, and on wood is futile. So on a cloth brings poverty, on a stone gives rise to disease, on the earth brings suffering, and on wood is futile. So this is where the business of selling asanas came from, so that we don't make this mistake. Then it says, through meditation on the Guru Gita on a black deer skin or on a kusha grass, knowledge is attained. On a tiger skin, the treasure of liberation is attained. However, recitation on a wool blanket brings all attainments. That's why we sell wool asanas. And then it says, "O goddess, the Guru Gita should be recited with one pointed concentration while sitting on a mat of kusha or durva grass or on a white wool blanket." And the last one of these says, "O beloved, thinking of sitting on a white seat for attaining peace, a red seat for enchanting others, a black color seat for subduing the mind, and a yellow color seat for acquiring wealth." So it gives the colors, the materials, and the way to sit. And then he's also going to talk about the directions. If you face north, if you face east, etc., which we can try. Why not? It's free. So I'm going to give you what Gurudev says about this. It is in his book, Conversations with Gurudev, and it is the question. When you read the translation of the Guru Gita, there's some pretty weird stuff about sitting on different things, facing different directions. Are we meant to take it literally? This is a question. This is Gurudev's answer. Yes, the seating directions and so on do have literal meanings, but you need to be committed, very intent on doing it if you want to see results. For example, the Guru Gita says facing north is for peace and facing west is for wealth. So you sit and say to yourself, I am sitting on this asana facing north to acquire peace. As with everything in life, intensity must be there. If you just sit there with a book facing north, not really into it, then nothing much may happen. The ritualistic part of the Vedas. See this, I'm going to stop here for a second. This is why we need a living guru, a live guru who will tell us these things. Because if we just read the Guru Gita, but not with his emphasis on the intent, then we may think, well, I do it and it doesn't work. But he's saying you have to put like your whole being into it. No? Then nothing much can happen. The ritualistic part of the Vedas is filled with these kinds of practices. The direction to face, the deity to please, the mantras to use. The Brahmin priest can look at someone's astrological chart and prescribe what that individual can do to please the relevant deity. And then he says, the way I look at it, there is one energy of God, but different subdivisions of that energy perform various functions to enable the universe to work. The deities are different energies performing different jobs. So this is what he has to say about this part of the Guru Gita. And this is not the only scripture in which the goddess asks Shiva for instructions. There is a very, very powerful book that is called the Vijnana Bhairava, and it has 112 ways or techniques to center the mind and to make it more powerful. So now to end with this talk, because I think that it's mostly my intention here to see from all the ways that the Guru Gita can be seen, and also what we consider the Guru principle and the person, the Guru, no? The things that they do. For example, all the time we hear Baba stories, but I have my few Gurudev stories. And I can tell you that most of my experiences of his Shakti have to do with time, with the limitation of Kala or time, with that tattva. Why? Don't know. But I know because I tend to get overwhelmed easily. So there was a time when we were sending, before Siddha Mark, there was a magazine called Eternally Blissful, and it was printed like a regular magazine. No? Younger people maybe here haven't seen it. So what happened is that we would put it in an envelope, and then we would close the envelope, and then to put the label with the address and name of the person, and then the stamp. And there was a time when I was supposed to take some to the post office when I started driving in the USA, and to me, it was 20 minutes before 12. And on a Saturday, the post office closes at 12. So I thought there is no, because Devyani knows the aspect of my personality. so I'm thinking, there's no way it's going to work. Why do they give me? They should have given me earlier, you know, and I start feeling all these feelings. So he comes and says, do you want me to help you to do that? And he sits there. There's a table, so he sits here. And he says, you're not hungry? No. But my whole body is saying, it's getting late. So he says, you know what, in the pantry there's some chips. So he goes and brings a big bag of chips. There's no salsa in this house? And, you know, I'm looking like, what is your problem? No? At some point, my brain said, you know, from here on, it's not my problem. He's making me late. It gets late. They close the post office week on Monday. It's not my problem. And then he sits. He puts a bowl with the salsa. He starts. It is spicy for you, and he starts eating. Then he gets up. You want water? Yes, thank you. So we start drinking water. And then he tells me, this is the envelope of the magazine, and you have to put it in a way that when people open it and take it out, the header is the same, the first thing you do, because this will make them feel well, and they don't know why. Okay, straight. Okay, so I start feeling. And then he says, and the address, cannot be crooked, has to be perfect. And so you start putting all the labels there, and then the stamps. And the stamp, he said, the same distance, half a centimeter from top to bottom and half a centimeter here, center. So when people get it, as soon as they say they have mail, they experience peace. It's not just, this is the way to do seva. Okay, so we did it, and I swear that when I look at the time, it was 20 to 12. How that happened? I had 3 more like that, but today, because we're going to do the exercise to Vijnana Bhairava. Amazing. So what it says on the scriptures is that time actually doesn't exist. We fabricate it in our mind as we do space, locomotion, all the actions, all these statuas. It's very interesting to study. We're doing it with a study group in Spanish, and they love it, and I adore that information. So anyway, that is time doesn't exist, it's relative, and time and space are the things that we feel most limited with in this limited body, in this individual existence. No? And so they're always pushing us to break free from this and remind us at all times that we are Shiva, that we are God. So there is in the Vijnana Bhairava, it's also the goddess asking Shiva how to do this. And so one of the dharanas is you have a thought. So better to do the eyes closed. And the first thought that comes, you follow it, but backwards to its origin. Not trying to understand it, or feed it, or reject it, or do anything to it. You just, where did it come from? And that way you attach your mind to the thought. Let's say, for example, I'm thirsty. I'm going to get water as soon as I get out of here. Okay, that is the thought. Then you attach your mind to it and follow it. Where did it come from? It's very interesting to see where the origin of this thought. So we do that, and once we reach that space, which should take like 2 minutes maybe, we see the thought disappear, and with it, the mind disappears. And we stay there for a few seconds. And then when it's like in 5 minutes, I'll say something. So. Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Thank you.
दया करो भगवान मन मंदिर में उजवालो तेरा निर्मल ज्ञान जिस घर में हो आरती चरण कमल चितलान हमारे सागरे जो तरंग जगाए महाभद्र कीर्तन करे बहे प्रेम दरिया ताहरी श्रवणा करे सत्य लोक से सब कुछ दिया आपने हेठ धरूं ज्ञाना नमस्कार की भेंट करूं जोड़ूं मैं दोनों हाथ नमस्कार की भेंट धरूं जोड़ूं मैं दोनों हाथ पूर्णमदा पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
So this concludes our Sunday morning satsang for this week. Thank you all for joining us. And again, continue to join us on Thursday mornings for the Guru Gita, Saturday evenings for Kirtan, Sunday mornings for Guru Gita and satsang, and then all of our study groups on Monday with Nityeshwari, Saturday with Dana Wilkinson, and the workshop that is with Larry Holmes, Mark Ketchell, Mary Riley, and Leo Dale from Australia. So thank you, Nityeshwari, for your offering this morning and giving us another perspective, another viewpoint, an experience of the Guru Gita. And for most of you, you should have received in your email inboxes the Swamaduri online classes. So for those of you who wish to take up a musical instrument, such as the harmonium or the pakwaj drumming or the tablas, you can do that with all of the musicians at Magod. So that flyer went out in the last couple of days, so everybody's welcome to sign up for that. Also, March 11th, we will be having our Shivaratri intensive. Gurudev has already chosen the topic for that, so you'll be getting that in your email inboxes this week, so you can make sure to register for that. That'll be the intensive that'll be then sent out to everybody on the Friday. And so you'll have that first weekend, the whole week, and the following weekend to be able to participate and enjoy and relish the intensive. And I had one more thing, but I can't remember. And I think that's all for today. So thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Sadhguru Nath Maharaj Ki Jai.